Welcome back, fresh from our third stomp of the day.
Yeah, there's been a lot of one-sided games. That one was probably the most expected in terms of the trajectory of the game, though. So that was like a slow team in Pensinet, losing slowly. No one's surprised. The first two, very slow, when I think maybe they could have been more aggressive. So at least last game wasn't a surprise.
Well, maybe the final game of the day will drag on for 2.5 hours and it'll all balance out in the end. But, Rusty, welcome. Can I just say,
Yes.
I'm loving the way you are owning the couch. Because there's a whole like BDE going on with you. When I went upstairs after hopping off the first seg, and you were sitting down for the champ select, I'm like, Rusty's loving that solo couch.
I have so much room.
Stretched out.
It's the best.
Those skinny ankles have room to breathe.
I realized like during the first game because it was just me. Yeah. I started to the hand came over.
Yeah, that's what it was.
This is my couch.
You had the notebook. Yeah. The sort of like Hugh Grant 90s foppish like fall. It was all very charming. Welcome. Now, before we get into the final seg for the day, some of you may recall that this weekend, before everything that's happened in the world, was supposed to be the Recall and Restore weekend in conjunction with Headspace, who, this weekend we would have been talking a lot with Headspace people coming in here and talking a lot about mental health and youth mental health and advisory and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, that's been delayed because we're going to get people in here and all sorts of stuff. So that'll be happening at a different point in the year. But you can still go to headspace.org.au for any tips on managing stress or anxiety, and particularly around the COVID crisis at the moment. If you are suffering any sort of mental health issues, then I encourage you to go to Headspace and take advantage of their resources there, because while you would have been seeing it here on the broadcast, it's always available for you at their website.
Now's the perfect time to do it as well, right? Like the self-isolation is a whole can of worms, to say the least, for a lot of people. So that self-discovery is a good resource to help.
Yeah, so look after your mentals, and Headspace will help you look after them for you. All right, it's time to jump into our final segment for the day. This is COVID do and COVID don't.
Whatever's necessary. Strike quickly, strike deftly.
I'm really glad that we fired Jake and took the money that we paid him and funneled it into the graphics team.
It's gotten a lot better. Every week's improved. You mentioned before the random Nick wasn't in the background.
Yeah.
I'd say that comes with the budget increase.
I would say, the recycling assets is probably, fantastic. So COVID do's and COVID don'ts. This is stuff that you should and shouldn't do over the next couple of months. It's obviously, you want to be washing your hands and not touching your face, but there's a bunch of things you should do and you shouldn't do. Rusty, one of these things, I just want to throw something at you.
Sure.
All the gyms are closed now.
Yeah.
You're not going to be going around touching things. Spending a lot more time at home. When I'm home, I tend to just eat. I don't want to be doing that. How can I be using the things around my house to keep myself fit?
One of the first things I was going to say with this was like, when you go to the gym, look after it. I think this is like, even though they're closed now, I have to say one of the best experiences I've ever had at the gym was yesterday.
Very recent. Is this just recency bias?
No, like ever.
Yeah.
Every single person at that gym was wiping down everything they were using. And like, that is awesome.
Because you're dealing with a lot of like sweaty bench that someone's just walked away from. You need to clean up yourself like in the past.
Yeah, I mean, there's a sweaty bench. There's a disgusting sweaty human that's just used it and disrespected the person that's coming after them. They have to like wipe it down themselves. But it's also like the metal bar.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen that cleaned.
Yeah.
But now I've seen it cleaned 20 times in an hour, and it just kind of made me happy.
Arguably, it's one of the cleanest places you could go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Except for the proximity to people.
Except for that part.
No, I think what I would say is, one, if you've got children, they're the perfect dumbbells.
Just pick them up.
Just pick them up all the time.
It's so easy.
You have to anyway, wouldn't you?
You do occasionally need to pick your children up. Like, it's a sorry state of affairs, but you do.
That, and if you have a personal trainer already, now's the perfect time to actually communicate with them, because they're the ones who will know best what you need and actually make something that'll help.
Yep.
You've been working on this yourself. Diet
I have been.
is important.
I'm looking amazing, by the way. I just want to say, can we get a close-up on this? Ooh. Yep.
Diet's important, and if you're exercising differently or less, like now is a very important time to consider that. And for the types of exercise you're doing, if you don't have a PT, just Google it or look up an app. Like there are a million apps out there to be like, just do these types of body weight exercises or like calisthenic workouts.
Yeah, cool.
Like get that done. Do your push-ups, man.
Do your push-ups. COVID do your push-ups. I'll tell you, a do is take up a new interesting hobby. A don't is make that a hobby that affects other people. So you don't want to be doing like experimenting with sort of sardine cooking. You don't want to take up the drums. No one wants to hear your drum playing. Basically, any musical instrument, I don't think you should be learning right now.
The drums are actually probably the best one because there's the silent drum kits.
Oh, you still hear that pattern, and then you're constantly going to be talking to people about your drums.
True.
In the same, you know how people tell you about their dreams.
Yeah.
No one gives a shit about your dreams. I don't care about your drum playing. Like I don't want to come and watch your performance on your little muted pads. That's not a good idea at all. Do look after your neighbors. So this one is a very earnest one, but now is the time to introduce yourself to your neighbors. Stand a few meters away from them, of course. But this week I actually went to all of our neighbors, printed off a bunch of letters, knocked on the door. If they didn't answer, slip it under the door. And it was just a note introducing myself, saying that if there were any people who were elderly in the area and who needed help with like grocery shops or something, that I could go down and do some grocery shops for them and bring some stuff over. Because this is that time when you go, oh, I'm just going to look after myself. But just remember that there's a bunch of people out there who can't look after themselves in the same way because like that high-risk population, this is way worse for them. And the idea that they can't go out into society to just do something as simple as go to the supermarket and pick up their food, go see if you can help someone out.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I've also seen toilet paper bins. So like someone who
bought,
because like the packs that you could buy were only huge. So like they didn't need all of them, so they put the rest in a bin and said like it's a repayment type of thing. Like you'll give back to me eventually. This thing's not going to go away in the next week. So take my excess toilet paper, and neighbors will respect that a lot.
There you go. That's a lovely idea. Other do's and don'ts. What's something you've wanted to do your entire life that you may have an opportunity to do now?
Oh, Nick, it's very hard being a really introverted gamer I've had so many things that I've wanted to do.
It's just going to be League, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
it's going to be League, it's going to be Doom Eternal, it's going to be push-ups or lifting children.
Well, so what I have been doing, because I haven't been going to the gym as much, is I've been running outside away from people, which has been very wonderful. I would recommend it for everybody.
Do you mean running away from people or running like in unclose proximity?
Happens to be away from people.
Okay,
and also running outside is more away from people at a treadmill at a gym. I've been doing more of that, which I thought was really good. And I've also been incorporating push-ups and sit-ups and stuff into my gaming, because I don't want to just sit there all day and waste time.
How does that work?
Well, you could build a game, you could gamify it any way you want, right? Depending on what you're playing. But like with League, for every kill is a push-up. Every death is a sit-up.
Do you do them after, or do you do them
after
like
the game?
After the game? It's a cumulative thing.
Yeah.
So is this a notebook situation where you're like crossing things off, or you just use the scorecard at the end and you just go boom, boom, boom?
I look at the end game scorecard and I do that.
Now, is the problem that you never die, so therefore this is like a cheat?
That's not currently a problem if I play at TFT, let me tell you. I've been running it down.
Excellent. Well, there you go. That's not a bad option as well, because it's like that sweet and sour, you get something and then you do something. That's good. Don't do anything rash. I was listening to a podcast where one of the guys was saying, this could be a time where a lot of you get engaged because you're bored. Don't do that. So don't get engaged just like on a whim. Don't get pregnant right now. That's a bad time as well. Like that's not what you want to. Just like because after a couple of weeks you're going to be going, we've got to spice this thing up. We've just been sitting at home watching a bunch of Netflix. Maybe we should do something wild. Maybe we should think about getting engaged. Don't do that.
Let's think logically as well. Like this is probably going to be a mini baby boom, just because everyone's quarantined. You don't want to be pregnant at the same time as everyone else in the country and then have to put up with the timing of that.
That's interesting.
That could be bad.
Do you think that we are skirting very close to the rating of this show. I just got a big oh yeah in the control room. Do you think the baby boom comes now or does it come after? So is the baby because right now it's very stressful, and so maybe that's not what's happening. But maybe once everyone can go outside again, they're frolicking in the fields, or they're just doing it in a Coles car park. Then that's where the boom comes along. You know what I mean?
I see your question.
Yeah.
I think the only valid answer to that is not the Coles car park option. So
Okay.
you've really made it easy for me to choose it.
All right, cool.
I think it's now.
If you are enjoying each other's company and you do get pregnant, just make sure you come up with a good name, because there's going to be a lot of kids. All of a sudden, we need some original names. I think it's time to introduce some new names to lexicon as well.
We could bring back Romanization in names. I think would be cool.
Explain.
What?
Like just a "ius" on the end.
Yeah, or like all of their names just sound cool. So like maybe just Latin.
Yeah, right.
As an inspiration.
So you could be like Zacchaeus.
Well, it could be, but I probably wouldn't.
You wouldn't? You wouldn't take Zacchaeus?
No, I don't think I would.
No? Are you a Zachariah?
No,
you're just Zach.
I'm Zachary.
Zachary.
But my grandma always calls me Zachary, but always spells it wrong. Like in written letters, she spelt it wrong. And I pulled her up on it one day.
Yeah.
I was like, you should know how to spell my name. Like, you were there.
Yeah.
And her response was, that's not how I wanted to name you.
What?
I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I named you.
But she doesn't get this say.
No.
Why does she get this say?
So she named me, but they spelt it wrong, and she's being defiant.
That is...
And it has been 26 years of defiance.
Wait, who spelt it wrong?
She gave the name. So my
Yep.
grandma gave the name
Yep.
that I was to be called, and then my mum spelt it different.
On the birth certificate?
Yeah.
That's terrible. Deliberately?
Well, no, because I think she just thinks the name's better, like the way she spelt it, right?
Yeah, interesting.
And I mean,
Interesting.
she's my mum. It's probably her choice.
What if I spoke to your grandma and was like, what about Zacchaeus, though?
You could ask.
I reckon that's
Do you
not a
want me
bad
to ask?
idea. Yeah, I would love to ask.
Yeah.
Chat's 5 minutes behind, so they've just caught up to the drumming conversation. Loki Cat AU says, as a drummer, you offend me. As a drummer, you offend me, Loki. It's just an obnoxious hobby, don't you think?
Drumming?
It's just so big. It takes up a whole room.
He could be knitting. You know?
You could be knitting.
That's a very useful hobby right now to take up.
You sharpen up those drumsticks, you got yourself a pair of knitting needles. That's a useful thing to do.
Yeah.
Become a knitter, don't drum. Okay, good. All right, have we done enough do's and don'ts?
I think we've covered a lot.
I'm hearing a no, so there must be a delay.
Oh, there must be more.
Yeah, there is. Well, we can think of some more.
What can we do?
What else? Well, like I said, I just feel like I want to take up a practical hobby, but it needs to be something that I can do inside that's low impact on everybody else. I think Carbon had it right with the whole green thumb thing.
Yeah.
I think if I made some sort of like
Plants
small
is-
hydroponic farm in my house.
I think plants is a
Yeah.
very good option.
I'm getting a big nod off camera there. Yeah, plants is a good option.
Plants is a good option because it keeps you busy, absolutely. It
Yep.
could be anything that you want it to be. You could just have cool looking plants, you could have useful plants.
Oh, so you're saying it doesn't even need to be food?
No.
This doesn't need to be harvestable?
No.
I could just grow like
I think it's
cacti.
just, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
That was what I grew
Orchids.
because I couldn't grow anything else. I had succulents and cacti.
Does it count? It's
mean,
like such a cheat.
They grew and I watered them once a month and
That's
I
such a
looked at them a lot more.
Yeah, right. That's such a cheat, though. I don't think
Yeah.
that counts. But it's nice to have something living in the house.
Yeah.
Something you need to look after. You could grow orchids. That's a good idea. Everyone's going to need something flowery and beautiful in their life. Speaking of flowery and beautiful, Mammoth and Direwolves, the next game, the final game. We've had the 3 stomps.
Yes.
Mammoth versus Direwolves. I mean, Direwolves, what are they? Are they 4th at the moment?
They're top 3 and they've also taken it to the top 2.
Yep.
So it's very hard to look at this game and say this is one where Mammoth will give it to them.
But Mammoth have given it to some teams that we weren't expecting.
Yeah, Mammoth have been on the rise. There's been a steady increase as well.
Tusks up.
So maybe this is the least one-sided game we've had. And it's hard to say how these teams will adapt to being on the home environment as well. So like we never really knew what we were going to get in these games until we saw them play.
That's right. Well, one thing that Mammoth will have is home field advantage when it comes to just feeling comfortable with the height of the doorways. We've got Kweku, Bass, Lived, Mboma, and Artek.
Yeah, so a couple of newbies in the squad for Mammoth. Artek is the newest. I actually played Clash with him very recently.
Right.
He's a very good support player.
Solid?
Yeah, solid pick. Carbon was actually in that with us as well. We won tier 1, so we're basically the best trio to ever touch the game. It wasn't an unfair bracket or anything. Yeah, that's my point on Artek.
There you go, and they're coming up against a more familiar Direwolves lineup.
Yeah, Chippies, Mir, Shock, Vital Decoy, no changes there. Nothing to be seen. Cupcake, I believe, back in New Zealand. And a Coach Kai behind.
You notice that all the pictures we've got of the players, it gives them strong necks.
Strong necks.
Everyone gets a strong neck in those pictures. They get like a thick, wide, like a real support that noggin.
I have not noticed.
You got nothing. You got nothing.
How am I meant to...
I don't know what you're supposed
bring the
to say
necks
to that.
back up.
Sometimes I just say things. I will now say it's time for Game 4. It is Mammoth versus Direwolves, and let's get into the final game for the day with the Macca's Champ Select.
Game number 4 between Mammoth and the Direwolves. It's definitely going to be an uphill battle here for Mammoth as they are hungry for more victories here. But Direwolves have been on a trajectory really of success quite recently, only dropping to the Chiefs in recent weeks. Other than that, they've been taking dubs here, left, right and centre.
Yeah, I think they are far and away the gatekeeper of that top end of the ladder. I think strongly in that third position. Definitely, able to compete with the top two, but haven't really secured too many wins against them. But definitely, I think better than the teams below them. So we'll see how they play today. My suspicion is we get our fourth stomp. This very much seemed like a top of the table against the bottom of the table day.
Yeah.
Draft starting off with Olaf, MF, and Cenabands on the blue side. Orn, Aphelios, and Set taken away by the Direwolves. See what the first pick is for Kweku. Let me think. Orn.
He's been really strong in recent weeks. Definitely evolved from what we saw in the very start of the split. He was definitely getting bullied. Definitely a focal point for many teams to try and abuse and make sure they had little to no influence in those side lanes. But in recent weeks, he's showcased the likes of Fiora and found great success on those. Just the gap as a team as a whole hasn't always allowed him to fully shine and showcase what he can do, but they have managed to find victories with 2 to the name so far. I suppose really the main talking point has to be this new bot lane. When Mboma came in and they had their roster sort of come to life with Amelg as well, it was suddenly this rejuvenated look of Mammoth. Now that he's gone and Artek takes his place, with the high praise from Rusty and obviously yourself having played with him, we're quite excited to see if we see that second life spring into action for them.
Yeah, Artek's a pretty good player. I think he spent a while getting coached by Cupcake, who's a former OPL winner.
Yep.
So not a surprise to see him in the OPL, I don't think. Hopefully he plays well today. First pick, Gragas from Mammoth. I think that's comfort for Bass.
It is.
But it's a strong champion, not super strong.
It's comfort for both junglers, actually. Bass, that's his most played so far with 6 games to his name. Miru's had 5 of these Lee Sin games as well. So both junglers quite happy to say, look, we'll leave those matchups and those counter picks to later in the draft. Quite happy with how things are going. And what's going to be the bread and butter would seem the Ezreal Yuumi. This is your go-to combo if you think of a Yuumi. Obviously the shift forward, making it that much easier for Yuumi to come online and sort of displace with her ultimate as well. And the Kaiser's response. So Camille, classic for Chippies. I think that's really his identity at this point.
Yeah, that's the Chippies, the gauntlet thrown down. They're going to third pick top lane, and then they're going to ban away 2 top laners. Kweku plays a lot of Poppy.
Does.
Plays a ton of Poppy, plays heaps of Poppy in solo queue. That's taken away. I'm sort of afraid now for Mammoth and what they're going to do. I don't think there are any obvious answers in terms of shutting down that Camille, and I fear for Kweku if he opts into the skill matchup.
Yeah, I'm going to see exactly where they decide to go with this one. Now there's a ban going out towards Shock's champion pool. This is actually an interesting point because I talked about it with Coach Kai a week beforehand and sort of said, hey, look, looking at how this team have tried to attack this draft, what do you think of the fact that they're putting priority towards Shock? And it's like, well, look, the guy has such a deep hero pool. Like, he's got so many in his arsenal. The fact that he can just bust out a Cassiopeia and say, look, I've had 2 to 3K games of this. I know what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
You know, my 3rd or 4th pick is going to be, you know, potentially better than your 2nd or 3rd, right? So, I don't know. Once again, they're going to go towards that with the Cassiopeia taken away again and more priority from Direwolves to just limit what Kweku can do. So, going to be quite excited to see where he decides to go. With, I believe, only Fiora and Set being the other 2 champions available that he's played so far.
Well, Set's been banned early on by Direwolves. So
I correct myself, yeah.
Yeah, it's really just the Fiora, but that's what I was talking about a little bit earlier. I'm not sure. I'm not confident that that Fiora is going to work out for Kweku, but we'll see whether or not he opts into it. I can appreciate a player who's willing to try.
No Yasuo banned away, so there's always the potential with the Gragas being online there. And for the 2nd time today, we've seen the obvious sort of counter pick in that bot lane to deny what the Ezreal Yuumi can do with the Nautilus and the Kaiser. So expect big level 6 power spikes to come online. And as you say, you know, potentially a factor of having very narrow champion pools. He's forced onto that Fiora.
See what the last pick is. I think Nautilus, good counter into the Ezreal Yuumi. Yes, he can cover a lot of distance, but once that R goes down, it's hard to get away. Echo. We've seen Echo from Lived a few times now.
Yes.
And with the Syndra banned away, I'm not sure that Shock has a really big counter. Okay, Rise, pretty good. Pretty good. But it seems to me that Mammoth are playing a lot of comfort champs, although Direwolves definitely are as well. So I feel like draft, not a lot of curveballs necessarily. You know, nothing super surprising, nothing that really stands out. It's just, you know, 2 teams playing from home, playing the champs they like to play, and we'll see who comes out on top.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at Mammoth right now, we've seen, as you say, Lived having some fantastic results, and in the most recent one, quite noticeably, where he was able to juke into the jungle and get himself out of harm's way for free and just basically say, look, I can do this much and put this much threat on the map. I think what I'm really interested in this game is to see how well they can sort of match this 1-3-1 or even 4-1 split that Direwolves look to try and emit, because Shock on Rise can definitely do the same as what Chippies is going to be looking to do. Just break open these side lanes and force Mammoth into a situation of, do you tunnel in for a 5-man engage, or do you look to try and split push up? And I think that's where Mammoth have tended to struggle.
These are definitely 2 1-3-1 comps. Echo wants to go to the side lane, Fiora wants to go to the side lane, as do Camille and Rise. I would say that, you know, in a hypothetical world, Fiora definitely outscales the Camille, but you know, I could see Rise outscaling Echo in the side lane as well. So I think it's one where, in terms of those solo laners, it's really going to be about skill and about the jungle influence early, and you know, where does the gold go? Because Fiora can definitely run away with it, but you know, for the same money, I could see Rise doing the same thing. I think what's interesting for me is the rest of the team comp. You know, the 3v3. What's going to happen in the mid lane?
Yeah.
Because Ezreal Yuumi, yes, it's strong, but I just feel like Nautilus, Lee Sin are going to be able to get on top of them in this game, and I don't think Yuumi Gragas is going to be enough peel.
The defense to try and hold that mid lane. It's just, there's so many threats they've got to try and contend with, right?
Yeah, and the longer the game goes, the more difficult that's going to become. You know, Kai'Sa is incredibly strong in the late game. I mean, you know, as is Ezreal Yuumi, but not quite to the same degree.
So, touching on your expertise, obviously being jungler, the Gragas Lee Sin matchup, how does that one tend to pan out?
It's pretty even early. So the first sort of 3 levels, it's pretty even. I mean, Lee Sin will win a pure 1v1 where there's nothing happening. But, you know, Gragas' first few ganks, really strong. Once he gets the Predator, he can usually, he'll reach a lane before Lee Sin does. At level 5, Lee Sin has a pretty big advantage. You know, he's tanky enough for that Conqueror to really make a difference. And then at level 6, it's sort of back to skill again. After, you know, when you sort of get into the mid game, the matchup doesn't really matter all that much anymore. So it's one of those ones where, you know, the short answer is it's skill-based.
Sure.
You know, it's a skill-based matchup. If there is an advantage, it's maybe 55-45, you know, at most, 60-40. But, yeah, if you really dive into the nitty-gritty, it's like, for me, I sort of think Gragas at level 3, Lee Sin at level 5, sort of even at level 6, and then Lee Sin will take over the scaling into the late game.
I guess to take that one step further, you know, priority-wise for these jungle ganks, where you expecting to really see the priority mid lane or top lane, or for me, it looks like bot lane's going to be left to its own device until at least level 6 or like Dragon is contested.
Yeah, I think for Mammoth, late invade.
It is a late invade.
They are a ward though, so looks like they might just be giving up the red. Bass deciding he's going to do the rates under their nose. Not the worst decision, assuming he actually gets away with it, but this is probably going to mean that he gets 3 buff, because it's going to be difficult for him to enter into the other side.
He's going to reveal himself with that ward nearby to make sure that he's not going to get jumped on.
This is tough, because Bass has decided that his response will be just to maintain as efficient a pathing as possible. So he wants to farm right now, then he's going to walk to another camp and farm. But Mir is counter jungling and will probably have the opportunity to get back to his red if he really wants to. Bass is now... Ooh, this is already a little rough.
That is a good chunk. Obviously it will be Yuumi, so the heals will come on out, but they need level 2, and so far they're going to lose that race to get it.
Yeah, but the difficult part here for Bass is he's sort of given up the enemy's jungle. Like, he's going to have to use priority or...
Hang on a minute.
Yeah, he's either going to need to use priority or just risk running straight into the jungle, because, I mean, yeah.
You're not allowed to get your point out, Carbon. It's just too much happening right now.
Yeah,
these junglers are just making things happen. It's, I mean, the most excited these junglers have been all day.
So much of jungling is a lot of talking and only having 1 or 2 seconds to make the decision. As we see a dive in the bot lane.
This is an incredibly early dive on in, as Ember's only hit level 2 to level 3. Kweku's going to respond with his own. Dash away as Decoy has the hook for disengage. 4 members of Direwolves are here. And quite honestly, Chippy's very happy. Could not leave because the tower, sorry, the wave was under his own tower. But able to find a lot of free farm.
Yeah, depending on where exactly that wave is, like, I'm not sure. It looks like it might be outside tower range. But if that's freezing outside the tower for Kweku, that's a really bad outcome.
Very punishing.
It looks like it's actually pushing back, so I don't think he's going to lose too much farm. Wait a minute. But this is what I was talking about. So Bass, by opting to start his rates and then go into his top side, he needs to use someone to get into that top side jungle. But yeah, we could see there that they weren't willing to commit to it, and he's now going to lose. He's now not going to get that red golem start back.
Yeah.
He's going to be down for essentially the rest of the laning phase.
Pretty reliant now on Liv to assist him in that exchange, but
this
is a fight that's looking pretty good right now for Mammoth. Heal has to be used. That's a flash into a root, into a hook, and into a first blood. Direwolves convincing.
Wait a minute.
As Mboma turns the tide and says, look, don't write us off just yet.
Okay, so Artek doing the honourable thing and sacrificing himself for his AD carry, and enables Mboma to get the trade back, and that's a really good outcome. I mean, Direwolves have invested a lot of...
Hang on.
Predator's popped.
Predator is
no
there.
flash.
Bass with blue buff is ready to make things happen right now.
Oh, no.
He misses the body slam.
No.
He misses the cask as well. No.
Bass!
And Mboma runs. The flash, the hit. He finally secures it. But Vital would have been laughing himself to the bank if he got him that snipe on that W.
Yes, I was so scared that Mboma had died there. That's one of those ones where, yeah, you don't want to burn the flash to secure it, but also, you know, trying to save it and missing has cost him a lot of time in terms of tempo. You know, that Kai'Sa should have died, you know, 5 seconds earlier. That means you shove the wave in earlier. That means you get to base earlier.
Yeah.
You know, these are all the small things that, you know, as we watch this game unfold, we're not really going to think about that anymore. The fact that, you know, that Bass missed that and it, you know, took a little bit of time, we're not going to think about it. But when you review a game, that often has very real implications for, you know, oh, this other thing wouldn't have happened. You know, it's butterfly effect. This other thing wouldn't have happened if we had just secured this. So next time, let's just flash on her straight away. You know what I mean? I've heard that conversation so many times.
Yeah. Maybe a bit of summoner anxiety there to use it and secure the kill. But regardless, they do get it in the end. But Direwolves, with the advantage that they found as a result of a few of those exchanges and skirmishes that have taken place in the very first 5 minutes, will handily rotate through with the members to take down this Drake. Bot lane in their favor, mid lane, no lane minions to lose.
Yeah,
Lee Sin, one of the best at doing it.
Yeah, I mean, Lee Sin is very easy to solo dragon. You don't take very much damage because of the life steal on his W. But Liv deciding to hold on to his TP instead of TPing back to lane meant that Rise had priority and was able to leave mid to help out with that dragon. So we'll have to see what Liv does do with his TP later on. It might be that he's trying to save it for some sort of bot dive. As Miru's been caught.
Yeah, Miru is looking for it right now. Despite being so low, gonna stick around because he's got members in support. Decoy fully ready to jump on in.
Yeah, spot lane priority means that Decoy's able to get first move. Pink ward goes over to Miru and he hits level 6 of it, so definitely priority. The tempo in his hands right now, as we saw Kweku get dangerously low onto tower. Chippy's has TP advantage, so we'll see what he decides to do. A little bit low on mana as
another
lands.
beautiful hook into the passive. Once again, going to force out a lot of resources here from Mboma. Forced to burn that summoner heal.
It's a little bit of return damage off, but not really enough as Miru visits this mid lane again, and can't help but think that I've seen this Lee Sin gank 40 times already.
Yeah.
I think I've seen Bass do it once.
Yeah, and you can sort of see the difference, despite the amount of presence that Miru's had on this map, just how far ahead he is in terms of those camp clears.
I mean, it all comes back to that late invade and the under pressure decision making from Bass not to move it to his blue side or to contest the opponent's red.
Yeah.
Butterfly effect, man. You suffer for that stuff. As a jungler, you suffer for those decisions all game. This game will get to 30 minutes and you'll still be thinking about it.
Yeah, it's been rough, that's for sure. And Mboma's feeling a bit of that pain right now. No flash, no barrier. Arctic now has both the exhaust and heal online to assist in those fights that are taking place. But you can understand that Direwolves are finding those trades more and more desirable, especially now that they're very close to level 6. Soon depth charge online for the Nautilus, and the CS advantage in that regard as well. 10 CS up.
Yeah. I mean, all things considered, the gold is even. Wait, did someone just die? No, sorry.
You're seeing things.
Yeah.
Maybe you're predicting the future because the hook shot goes out. They're looking for the one shot right here. Chippy's going to go engage. Very low on those resources. Going to force out a flash. Will he go for another one?
There it is. Okay.
Riposte coming out very, very late.
Yeah, I think he just didn't want to use it. I mean, he'd already been caught by the hook shot. He wasn't prepared to riposte at that stage. And then I guess he was waiting to use it for an impactful spell. But we see the Rift Herald swap come out of Direwolves. We've seen it a few times today where you take that dragon early and then swap your bot lane topside for the Herald.
And Shock's able to keep Lived away. That jungle, presence is there for the taking. Top lane's already been pushed on in, and it just means that Direwolves are always one step ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, it's those little moments, those little skirmishes that open up big opportunities like this. It's something as simple as Kweku not riposting the Camille hookshot.
Yeah,
that means that he loses 90% of his health, has to flash away as Mboma gets hooked again. But
yeah,
you can see there's nothing really happening in terms of big macro plays that mean, well, other than what we just saw. Wait a minute.
Well, hang on a minute. Mboma incredibly low.
Exhaust
comes out moments before, trying to buy time. That's a beautiful cast to try and get this kill. And it's going to be Arctic, of all people, that actually gets it.
Huge trade there from Vital. Arctic not able to tank that Kaiser W, and that hurts. Mboma had his flash. Barrier was very close to being up for this tower hold had he survived, and Miru drops the Herald. This should be a one-shot probably.
Yeah, really well.
See another one of those small solo moments.
Yeah.
Really hurting Mammoth.
The gold. Yes, of course it didn't go to Israel, but definitely will still find some value on Arctic, working towards that Fiends, and then later on to the Ardent, you'd imagine.
Yes, this Herald is going to get a second charge off.
A lot of pressure on that top lane now.
Probably won't make too much of a difference in the scheme of things, as we see a replay of that dive. I like this early Yuumi ult to try and catch Decoy under tower. Vital being very aggressive, but didn't realize Bass was right there in the back pocket. But yeah, not sure what the cooldown was on that W from Artek, but he really needed to tank that Void Seeker.
Yeah.
Would have been able to hold the tower afterwards had he done that. And Chippies is just
he's gross.
Putting the work in as he baits out the riposte and ults afterwards.
Beautiful hook shot there. Mechanical God on display. The lifesteal is online, however, for Kwaku, who's able to survive underneath that tower. But out comes the teleport, and that's Elise in.
Yep. Beautiful play there from Chippy's baiting out the riposte. Kwaku didn't want to get caught lacking the second time. He thought, I didn't riposte the first one, got to riposte this one. But Chippy's just one step ahead yet again.
Silky smooth.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Echo putting in a little bit of work on that top tower, forces the TP out of the Camille. Miru gets to work on this bot side dragon, and I mean, he's only 1-0-0, but you cannot understate the amount of pressure that Miru has put on this game.
Oh, the confidence that he's displaying on this champion right now, you might as well say he's 5-0. He's running around this map like he owns it.
In terms of pressure, in terms of, you know, when you play a League of Legends game and you're just thinking, you know, jungle gap, what's my jungler doing? I've been ganked 5 times, I'm not getting anything. Even if people are surviving those ganks, you know, the impact that has 2 dragons and a herald, you know, that's where this 2k gold leaders come from.
It's a fault that's constantly lingering in the members of Mammoth, right? Always have to double check their corners and
Yep.
behind them as to where is this man, who is this member of the
Kwaku's in trouble
Direwolves.
again.
Kwaku is in trouble. Gonna dodge out the hook. Riposte comes out to block out the death charge. Now there will be Bass to respond to try and turn things in its favor. Predator online already, looking to try and defend his tower. Cast comes out, only finds one.
Nice
That's a beautifully lined up hook.
Heads up play there from Decoy. Saw the ult coming. Throws that CC cancelling hook out. Pulls himself to the wall to safety.
Queued it up perfectly.
And yeah, unfortunately, trying to make something happen on one side of the map usually means you get punished on the other side. And Chippies is going to make short work of this tower. He has that sheen, and
That's what
not
Chippies
many
is known for.
champions that take a tower quicker than Camille.
No. And that's what happens when the Rift Herald gets that much value in the top lane, able to further cement really the lead they've been able to find in these trades and in these opportunities that have taken across on this map. 19k gold to 22. The lead continues to grow, Carbon.
Yeah, in terms of gold, this is definitely one of the closer games we've seen today.
So far, yeah.
Yep, for sure. But in terms of the way the game is being played, it doesn't look like Mammoth are doing anything. There's no obvious plan.
Sure.
Is what I mean when I say that. Obviously, they're playing the game. And scaling is a plan. I do think that they have scaling on their side.
Yeah.
But there's no coordinated response. There's no, you know, it's all very reactive. It's, oh, we're getting ganked here. Okay, I'm popping my Predator and I'm sprinting there.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, you're watching Direwolves and you just see Miro using priority. Okay, I'm getting vision control on this side. Now I'm doing this objective. Now I'm getting vision control on the other side.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing this other objective.
Because from a solo lane perspective, they're not down in CS, right? Incredibly even.
No.
But definitely from a decision-making standpoint, it definitely feels very reactive is what you're getting at.
I mean, no individual person is really that far behind. The gold is almost entirely in platings and tower gold after that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to give them a lot of opportunity. Just do free roam like such. As you can see, a walk going down very deep into blue jungle. Catching out these members on the rotate. Looking to abuse the priority that they found so far. Definitely one you look to try and break open mid would be their next focus.
Yeah, not a ton to do now for Direwolves. You know, no obvious objectives up. They'd like to take this mid tower, but their comp is not a comp that excels at doing that. So
yeah.
It's really a question of, you know, sort of waiting for Rift Herald, waiting for Dragons, waiting eventually for that Baron to spawn, trying to pull Mammoth around the map while they deny jungle camps, get some vision down in the enemy jungle.
And keep up that 1-3-1 for the farm.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they don't make any mistakes, you know, the scaling is not such that they really need to do something, you know, right this second, that they need to be pushing the tempo super hard. Like, at 25 minutes, they would definitely still be in the driver's seat of this game. So, yes, we might see a little bit of a lull, but for the next, you know, 5 minutes or so, it really doesn't hurt them that much just to soak these lanes.
We'll just take a stock check at the minimap right now. Is a massive vision gap, definitely favouring the Direwolves. So if you look towards blue top jungle, it's lit up like a Christmas tree. And once again, gives Miro so much certainty when going for these objectives, just to have this confidence and exude it, not only to himself, but to the rest of this team and say, look, second Drakes, second Heralds, we run this map.
Yeah, if you think of vision sort of like a fence, let's say.
Yeah.
Where the fence extends, what you own in terms of map in terms of the map, let's say, in terms of vision, is sort of where your towers connect. So if you have all 3 outers, then your half of the map sort of belongs to you in a sense.
Yeah.
The problem for Mammoth is that all of the Direwolf tier 1s are up. There isn't an obvious place that they can push into and get vision. We saw Bass trying to move into that bottom quadrant, trying to pressure Camille under tower, but he wasn't able to push too far in. Whereas on the other side, there's no tier 2, let alone tier 1. As we see it engage,
Oh,
nice
that's a
stopwatch.
beautiful stopwatch there, actually denying out 2 ultimates there as Decoy just managed to walk on out from that situation. Fantastic play, but quite honestly, Mammoth taking the advantage for one chance, this time realizing, look, they couldn't siege mid, they had the Rift Herald, we had to do something before Drake.
No, I love that. I love that. Proactive, working as a unit. Direwolves weren't entirely ready to respond. Camille was sort of stuck in that bot lane. Liv just landed a massive stun.
Yeah, that's a beautiful sphere onto multiple members in that choke spot. It's going to secure the Dragon for Mammoth right now, but it's going to be the kill on Vital to take out the enemy ADC. Now they're going to look for more. He's going to dash on in with the ultimate right now as Camille goes on through, locking the members in place. Stopwatch to buy time for Liv as he looks to disengage, but it's not going to be enough. It's a triple kill for the Korean Prodigy. Vital is just going to run this one down as Chippies is on hot pursuit and Rise jumps in with the teleport. There is no place Mammoth can hide on this map.
Okay, so yet again, the play interrupts what I was trying to say. I really liked what Mammoth did. Coordinated response, they had numbers advantage, they pushed down mid, committed, they almost got a kill, and the Dragon was spawning, which was really good. A great passive to play. Immediately afterwards, though, they opted into a choke fight instead of focusing down this Dragon. You'll see Liv move towards the choke. You'll see Mboma move off the Dragon to help the team fight. They're split between finishing this drag, fighting this team fight, and they just get absolutely rinsed. Ezreal gets killed first, and as soon as Chippies gets here, it's all over. They burned all their ultimates in that skirmish in the mid lane looking for the pick. Chippies is coming out of base. He's off a fresh buy. Camille, you know, incredibly strong. No strong peel ultimates to keep him off, and her off rather, and just absolutely cleans up the fights. They take the mid tower afterwards as well, and it's something we see a lot with the newer teams, the teams that are lower on the ladder, and that is not having that exact cohesiveness, not knowing exactly when to engage as a team, you know, objective as a team. It's sort of this position where, you know, oh, we just almost killed them, and now they're here again. Maybe we can capitalize this time.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work like that, you know. League of Legends is a game of ebb and flow. You know, you burn your resources, now it's time to be passive. Wait for the cooldowns to come back up. Can't just keep your foot on the gas all the time.
Well, Chippies definitely has his, well, both feet on the gas, as he's got the Trinity Force online now. So what was a quiet game from him on a takedown perspective has suddenly blown up.
Yeah, well, that Dragon fight blew this game wide open. If you remember my fence analogy, losing that mid-tier 1 is, I mean, that's really the most important tower on the map. Because now Direwolves have the opportunity to establish that same sort of vision control that they had in the top blue side, where the blue side blue buff is. They can now establish that mid and bot. You know what I mean? The line of sight for Mammoth just keeps shrinking and shrinking, which makes it more and more difficult to farm your own jungle, to be able to push out to ward big objectives like the Baron. So Mammoth are going to be walking on eggshells for the next, you know, 2 to 5 minutes, depending on what Direwolves decide to do with this Baron, because they're going to be stuck in that awkward place of, do we check, do we not? Are they doing it, are they not? If they are doing it, can we even contest? These are going to be all the questions that will be asked in the Mammoth. Well, I don't know what voice chat they're using, but let's just say it's Discord.
We're having a rough time right now.
Absolutely.
Well, it is interesting. We didn't catch it before, but it is going to be the Ardent Sensor Rush here on Artex Yumi. So I'm not going to go for the instant sustain online to make sure that people can stay alive. We need to make sure that Mboma doesn't just get clapped that easily in these next fights.
Yeah, well, Ardent first is opting into damage as opposed to peel. Right?
Absolutely.
The Athenes is the tankier, let's say, option. For me, I like tank stats when you're ahead. When you're ahead, generally you get extra damage through XP, having an experienced lead. You don't necessarily need to opt fully into damage in terms of items. When you're behind is when probably need to play a little bit riskier as Bass
They're looking
engages.
for it. Bash just wants to make something happen right now, but he ran in on his own with the double barrels, unable to find anything as a result. He gets taken down for free by Direwolves. Now Quaku's going to try and make something happen on his own, but Chippy jumps in and shows how strong he is. He locks you in place and he takes them down. They are hungry for more as Liv tries to do the impossible, but a rise teleport! It's insane! Get juked! Yuumi jumps on in.
Was so insanely unlucky.
Wow, tries to do something, but that something is not enough. Hats off to you, Shock. You've just broken this man's career.
I really thought that that Echo ult, I mean, they were definitely still going to lose a team fight either way, but I just thought that Echo ult was going to land on 3 people.
Yeah.
I think he had the W prepared as well, so it would have been the burst damage as well as the stun. But perfectly timed Rise ult out of Shock means they all get to avoid it. And yeah, I mean, when you engage on the enemy tank, you know what I mean? They have only one member on that team who is a tank, and it is the Nautilus. He has the stone plate. Unfortunately, not able to kill him. And again, Chippies enters the team fight late and just cleans it up. We can see Massive on my waypings, and I guess it's now or never for Mammoth. And they've decided, look, this Predator's been popped. I'm going. Unfortunately, yeah, just the engage fails. Bass gets blown up straight away. Quaku decides, well, the only person I can see is this Nautilus. That's what I'm going to do. But Chippies re-engages, Vital ults into the backline, and that's just it. We can see here lived. Boom. And they get it out.
That's actually so well coordinated. It's beautiful out there from Direwolves.
I mean, absolutely not intentional. I can tell you that much, but
He'll claim it. Let's be quite honest.
Certainly very unfortunate timing for Liv. Almost had the montage play, and Chippies just lets Artek know here. Waits as late as possible for the Q, and kill steals the turret.
It's one of those plays, right, that looks so fantastic, and you, in the back of your mind, like, I didn't mean that. I was looking to chase the Echo, but now that it happened, I'm basically smurfing.
Yep. Yep.
And I think, really, you talk about those scaling options right now. It's not looking too likely because Quaku's just getting burnt so far down. Once again, they're going on towards Decoy. Chippies is still around. He's coming on the flank like he's done all game. There goes your AD carry, and there goes your team. It's going to be a 5-man ace. They're looking for Liv, who's trying to do the unstoppable one more time. It's just not going to happen. It is not going to happen, and they're going to go for the base.
It's one of those ones where the TP flank was just a little too flanky. Unfortunately, Mammoth get engaged on before Liv can even make it to the fight, and that'll be all she wrote, I think.
It will be indeed. It's been a day of stomps, to put it lightly. Direwolves will take that victory convincingly.
I mean, as far as the early game goes, this was the closest one. But at the end of the day, it was still a 23-minute win from Direwolves. And congratulations to the Wolfpack.
Congratulations indeed. Definitely no signs of slowing down in that game there. They had a plan, they executed, and you know, if they were holding on to the reins, they had 2 hands right there and said, look, you're not ever allowed to make a play. You follow our plan. It was almost like, you know, you go to, you know, when you're doing like, what do they call, scripts, you know, acting school, you have like school plays.
Right.
And it's like you've got your part, and it's like you're doing everything on our script. Like, you don't actually have your own part.
Yeah, you're doing this.
There's no narrative for you. There's no directive. You do what I say.
This is your destiny. It's predetermined. I've written it down over here.
Yeah.
Read it, memorize it, and then get ready to play us.
It says here, we're going to win in the early game, and we're going to get all these objectives, and you're not going to ever have a chance to really fight. And when you do, it's not going to look too good for you. And yeah.
I mean, I appreciate the effort. You know, there was a few times. There were a few times where it looked good for a moment, but yeah, I mean, A, it's just so difficult when you're down in gold, and B, just maybe lacking a little bit of that discipline to focus on. Okay, look, guys, we're really far behind. We got a good result out of a team fight. We know we had a team fight. Yes, we didn't kill them, but we did get a dragon. Let's be happy with that.
And that has to be the highlight of the game, right? For Mammoth, the play leading into that, the fact that, okay, Dragon is coming up. They weren't able to break down this mid lane without the Herald, which they've now had online. We need to force a fight now. Otherwise, we just keep losing far too much in this game. They find nearly the kill. I mean, honestly, if they found a kill in that exchange, it would have been potentially a different story. But then the fact to chase on through and say, look, we really want to make this happen after picking up the Drake, where, you know, it should have been a disengage. You know, Direwolves, they take those.
I mean, it's the second game today where we've seen a late invade level 1 have a huge impact on the rest of the game.
Yeah.
We saw it in the Pentanet game where Sully had a really tough time coming back after being late invaded. We saw it just then with Bass as well. Got late invaded, was essentially invisible for most of the game until, a couple engage attempts in the mid game. So, I mean, it just goes to show. I mean, I am a jungler, jungle bias, whatever.
Sure.
But for me, it's the most important role of the game. If your jungler is not performing, it is incredibly difficult to win the game. I've forgotten his name. Mir.
Yeah.
Mir, like we said it while it was happening. He was 1-0-0. Like, it wasn't like he was, he wasn't twerking on him or anything like that. It's just, good use of priority, focusing objectives, making his presence felt. Yes, he wasn't able to complete the gank, but just being there, getting the wave in. These are all really important things, and it was all enabled by A, the draft, and B, the set play at level 1.
Well, you heard it there from the Jungle King himself. Jungle difference is very apparent, not only in solo queue, but in competitive games as well. Let's throw it back to a break as we get ourselves ready to close out the day.
Feeling the heat? Grab a pineapple or pineberry frozen Fanta mix at Macca's. With 36 flavours, it's the largest range in Australia. Grab one for only $1. A little goes a long way at Macca's.
Welcome back, and we are rounding out the evening. It was potentially the fastest one we've had this split so far.
Yeah, it's been a very quick day. There's been a lot of one-sided affairs, and actually Carbon mentioned it before. There's been a lot of jungle difference in the way that people have been playing out the early games. Level 1s, in late invades, stuff like that. It even happened in our second game of the day, and had a profound impact on the outcome of the game. And I like coming into week 8 changing that up, because level 1 can win a game if you are the better team. And I mean, very evident today through the results that the small shift means everything.
Absolutely. I am excited to be ending the day with you, because we started the day together by when I walked into the building and I walk out of the bathroom and you're coming up the stairs and we just look at each other, and I was wearing a brown jacket with a white t-shirt, and I basically identical. We just look at each other, it's like, well, one of us has to change. Yeah. So I, of course, took the bullet because I'm a good friend, and I was like, I'll slum it in the blue for a while.
Really slumming it.
Really slumming it. We thank you guys very much for hanging out and watching. Let's take a look at the games you will be watching tomorrow. Today's games potentially... let's start with today's results. That's fine. Legacy... Look, the results were basically what we're expecting the whole way through. Legacy winning against Avant, Order taking down Gravitas, Chiefs smashing Pentanet.gg, and Direwolves roundly rounding out Mammoth there in game number 4. No surprises really there, no upsets. Tomorrow, potentially games that have a little more flip of the coin, a little more spice. Chiefs versus Avant, game number 1. Legacy versus Order for game 2. Direwolves and PGG for game 3, and then Gravitas versus Mammoth for game 4.
Yeah, that game 2 is the one that stands out to me. Definitely one to look towards. The third game will be interesting. Pentanet versus Direwolves it could be a very slow game, but in a very intentional way. And then, of course, the classic Gravitas Mammoth that I'm always excited for to round us out.
I am excited for that. I mean, you look at Gravitas Mammoth, I mean, it's probably Direwolves and PGG and Gravitas Mammoth where wins there probably count the most for those teams in terms of their standings and where they're going to end up as we head into the pointy end of the season. A reminder, you guys, about the OPL anime competition that we have running. You can get yourself a Dark Star skin and its accompanying champion if you just send in a picture that you have drawn of an OPL themed person, event, whatever in an anime style to join our wonderful growing anime credits at the end of each episode. This is one of our most successful things. We get so many entries.
This picture.
Yep.
Where is his eyes?
Where is his eyes?
If you could tell me where his eyes are,
I could see the fists.
I will give you $5.
You'll give me $5?
If you can point out his eyes.
$5 to point out the eyes. I can see his teeth. The eyes are little slits just above the teeth.
No, he doesn't have eyes. Nice try.
Oh my god, I feel so pumped. After I wore the shitty blue jacket.
I spoke to the designer of this skid and was like, where are my eyes? And he's like, there are none.
Why are there no eyes?
I guess he doesn't need them. He's a mountain.
Yeah, I guess mountains don't have eyes. But then mountains don't have fists, so why are you using mountains as an excuse for why things don't have eyes? All right, we're excited to have you guys back tomorrow. I feel like all things relative today went pretty well for moving the entire league online over the course of the last 7 days. So well done to all the crew involved. That was a pretty huge effort. You guys play a lot of League of Legends online. That's not something that normally happens here, and it was much harder than you expect to be able to do it. But I think credit to the crew here and credit to the teams that everyone managed to pull that one off. We are going to be playing some games online as well because it's time for the MPL. TFT, I think. Yeah. And I think we could probably do viewer games because there's 4 of us here, so we could bring in another 4.
We can.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're going to select them with the slight delay.
They could just, oh yeah. Well, but they're listening now. So within about 5 minutes, we'll be in.
Okay.
It will be in lobby for TFT now. So just start sending friend requests. Start sending just any message to me, and I'll just randomly pick. And by the time you hear this, we'll be sitting there ready to play. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Thank you to Rusty. Thank you to special guest Carmen, and thank you to Skimmy for hanging out. We'll all be back with you tomorrow, and we'll be doing some MPL. So we'll see you just after this break.
Force comes out moments before, trying to buy time. That's a beautiful cast to try and get this kill, and it's going to be Arctic of all people who actually gets it. Yeah, it's a beautiful smear onto multiple members in that choke spot. It's going to secure the Dragon for Mammoth right now, but it's going to be the kill on Vital to take out the enemy ADC. Now they're going to look for Boys. They're dash on in with the ultimate right now as Camille goes on through, locking the members in place. Stopwatch to buy time for Liv as he looks to disengage, but it's not going to be enough. It's a triple kill.
As Bash
looking for it.
engages.
Bash just wants to make something happen right now, but he ran in on his own with the double barrels, unable to find anything as a result. He gets taken down for free by Direwolves. Now Quaku's going to try and make something happen on his own, but Chippy's jumps in and shows how strong he is. He locks you in place and he takes them down. They are hungry for more as Liv tries to do the impossible, but a rise teleport! It's insane! Once again, they're going on towards Decoy. Chippies is still around. He's coming on the flank like he's done all game. There goes your AD carry, and there goes your team. It's going to be a 5-man ace. They're looking for Liv. He's trying to do the unstoppable one more time. It's been a day of stomps, to put it lightly. Direwolves will take that victory convincingly.
強く強く輝いて消えた長い